please come to the hospital right away. Sarah is in critical condition. I pleaded urgently over the phone, my voice shaking with fear for our 6-year-old daughter's life. But instead of rushing to our daughter's side, my husband's harsh words cut through the line like a knife. Stop with the lies and using our daughter's life as bait. You're the worst, he accused callously. I'm not lying. Please believe me, I cried out desperately, met only with a dismissive click of the tongue and his cold promise to have one more drink before considering coming back. By the time I get there, Sarah will probably be fine. Stop bothering me, he spat before hanging up abruptly. I crumpled against the hospital corridor wall, my strength failing as I whispered, Sarah. My name is Holly, and I'm 31 years old. 6 years ago, I married John, who was 42 at the time, after meeting him at work where he was my boss. His competence, fairness, and charm won me over, and after confessing my feelings, we began dating. A year later, he proposed, and I remember tears of joy streaming down my face. Shortly after our wedding, I discovered I was pregnant. We're going to be amazing parents, I remember saying, filled with genuine happiness at the prospect of building a family with the man I admired. But after our daughter Sarah was born, everything changed. John grew distant and began belittling me, dismissing my needs and accusing me of exaggerating when I was unwell or needed help around the house. Nights were the hardest. When Sarah cried, his impatience showed as he'd snap, "She's annoying, put her to sleep quickly." Many times, tears replaced the joy I had imagined for our family life. You're a stay-at-home mom, and you can't even manage the kids while doing your chores. Damn, I picked the wrong one. John's words cut through me sharply. Why would you say that? We're a couple. We're in this together, I protested. I'm out working hard all day. Don't burden me with housework. And your constant complaints about being sick or not getting enough sleep because of the kids. I don't buy it, he retorted coldly. I'm not lying about any of this. Besides, Sarah is our daughter. You need to be involved in raising her too, I pleaded, hoping to reach him. If you need help that badly, hire a housekeeper. That's if you can afford it, of course, he dismissed callously. His accusations stung, but what hurt more was his indifference towards our daughter. The thought of divorce crossed my mind, but as a stay-at-home mom, leaving with Sarah felt daunting. Still, I resolved to be the parent Sarah deserved, one who would protect her no matter what. If something ever happened, it seemed Sarah vaguely understood that her father, John, and I weren't getting along well. Despite this, she grew into a kind child, often gently stroking my head and saying, "Thanks for everything, Mom." Each time, I would lovingly hug Sarah and respond, "Mommy loves you so much, Sarah." But then, suddenly, something precious to me was taken away. It happened on Sarah's 6th birthday. The three of us had planned to celebrate together. I had been busy with preparations all morning and was nearly finished by 3 p.m. Just as I was about to leave to buy her birthday cake, I received a call from John. I got roped into a night out with my colleagues. "I'll be home," John's voice came through the phone. "Wait, today is Sarah's birthday. You promised you would be home," I pleaded. "Can't be helped. I was invited out. I'm quite popular, you know," John replied with a smug laugh. "Popular, my foot. They probably just want you to pick up the tab," I retorted, frustration creeping into my voice. I've told him countless times to stop footing the bill for his colleagues' nights out, but John never listens. He just says, "Who else is going to pay? I'm the boss." "Can't you please come home for Sarah? She's been looking forward to celebrating her birthday with you," I begged. "Stop nagging. I'll get her a present. That should be enough," John dismissed. "Fine, whatever," I snapped, cutting the call abruptly with a loud slam of the receiver. Relief washed over me momentarily. I shouldn't let this get to me. Today is all about Sarah. I have to keep smiling, I thought to myself as I walked into the local bakery and picked out a strawberry cake, Sarah's favorite. With the cake in hand, all that was left was to wait for Sarah to return home. But as the evening wore on and the sun started to set, Sarah still hadn't come home. I tried to reassure myself, maybe she had lost track of time while playing with her friends. Just as I began to consider searching the neighborhood or calling the police, the phone rang. It was the police on the line. "Holly, there's been a traffic accident." "What about Sarah? Is Sarah okay?" "They've taken her to the hospital, but she's still unconscious. We're sorry for the delay in contacting you. It took some time to confirm her identity. I have to go to the hospital right away," the police officer informed me urgently. I regretted not leaving Sarah a note with my contact information, but dwelling on it wouldn't help now. Rushing to the hospital, my face drained of color, I silently prayed, "Please, God, let her be okay." At the hospital, a nurse broke the news to me. Sarah was in critical condition. The strength drained from my body, and I collapsed to the floor. Just this morning, she had been fine, going to school like any other day. This wasn't supposed to happen. I struggled to convince myself it was all a terrible dream. But the steady beeping of the machines monitoring my daughter's unconscious form brought me back to harsh reality. "I need to call John," I muttered, stepping out of the room to dial my husband's number. "What? It's you again? Don't bother me while I'm out drinking." John's voice slurred through the phone. "Sarah got in an accident and she's at the hospital. It could be serious. Get here now." John scoffed, dismissing it. "Yeah, right. Another one of your stories. You're just upset because I missed her birthday. Stop making things up." "I'm not lying. Please come to the hospital now. Sarah's in critical condition," I pleaded desperately. "Stop holding a grudge against me. You're being ridiculous," John retorted callously. "Please, just come. Sarah might not make it," I cried, tears streaming down my face. I found myself pleading through the tears, overwhelmed not just by sadness but by the disbelief that my husband could accuse me of lying and show no concern for our daughter in such a dire moment. Fine, I understand. I'll have one more drink, then I'll come back. By then, Sarah will have miraculously woken up and be peacefully asleep in bed. I'm tired of your lies. Don't call me again. Bye." "Wait," I shouted, but he had already hung up. In the hospital room, I sat, tears streaming down my face as I waited for Sarah to wake up. But she never did. Her birthday became the day she left us forever. "Why? Please open your eyes," I pleaded, my voice trembling with grief. No matter how much I called out to her, no matter how many times I touched Sarah's lifeless body, she never responded with a smile. Sarah was such a good girl. She was shy, but always caring and thoughtful towards others. A true angel. Why did she have to lose her life, Sarah? I collapsed in tears in the hospital room, oblivious to the people around me. In the end, my husband never showed up at the hospital that day. On the day of the funeral, the sky hung heavy with clouds, as if it too mourned. John's colleagues and bosses attended the service, faces familiar from earlier encounters, but this was not how I had imagined meeting them again. Throughout the day, my friends took turns consoling John and me, though approaching me was difficult in my weakened state. Each time someone spoke to John, he put on a dramatic show of tears, lamenting, "I can't believe Sarah's gone," and then shifting blame with, "If my wife had called me sooner that day, maybe I could have seen her while she was still alive. You're the one who accused me of lying and didn't bring me home. You're not even crying for real," I observed quietly, numb to any anger toward him. All I wanted was to bid Sarah a peaceful farewell with all my heart. As the funeral approached its conclusion, John leaned in and whispered to me, "All right, now it's time for us to get divorced. You'll finally be free." Taken aback by his sudden statement, I glared at him, biting my lip, but he quickly excused himself to smoke outside. Amidst the whirlpool of emotions as I continued to express gratitude to the attendees, a woman approached me. "Holly, my deepest condolences. I never imagined something like this would happen," said Kay, a colleague of John's and my closest friend from my office days. She came close and gently rubbed my shoulder. In that moment, I felt a slight sense of solace in my heart. 3 days after the funeral, I received a call from Kay. A few days later, we met at a cafe near my home. She was very concerned about me, asking if I was eating properly and sleeping enough. Her caring gesture meant the world to me. To be honest, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but on the day Holly had that accident, I was with John and some colleagues, and I saw when Sean picked up your call. "Is that so?" I replied, urging him to continue. "You should have pushed him harder to go to the hospital. I blame myself for not being more insistent." "You don't need to apologize, Kay. I know you encouraged him to go, and that means a lot." "Okay, I'm sorry." And I was hesitant to bring this up, but Kay also mentioned John's recent behavior. She suspects he might be having an affair with a young colleague named Lee at work. After everyone left that night, it seems he was alone with Lee. I hate to say it, but there have been rumors at the office about John and Lee. People think they might be having an affair. I see. The realization that I was the only one unaware of this, manipulated by John, filled me with anger. Okay, there's something I want to ask you. Yeah. You want to gather evidence of John's infidelity, right? I'll help. Okay. My longtime friend from my office days already knew what I needed. With case support, I resolved to gather evidence of my husband's affair at work. A week later, Kate provided more details about John's affair. She revealed that John and his mistress openly flirted at work, often leaving together after hours and disappearing into a hotel district. Kate had followed them, capturing photos and videos of their encounters. Thank you for all of this, Kate, I said, struggling to hold back tears as I forced a smile at her words of concern. Holly, are you okay? If there's anything else I can do to help, just let me know. That night, I confronted my husband with signed divorce papers. Let's get a divorce, please, I told him firmly. Lucky me. I wanted to break up with you too, he replied callously. So, I'm asking for $30,000 in compensation from both of you. What? That's too much just for a divorce, he protested. You're all about money, John retorted defensively. I also know about your affair and I have solid proof. I showed him the photos and videos of him with Lee that Kay had captured. There was a brief moment of shock on his face before he regained his composure and glared at me. Very clever. You're quite the intimidating woman. Anyone can doctor photos these days. Which detective agency did you hire? He scoffed. I anticipated you'd say that. Just then, Kay walked in from the adjacent room. Concerned for my well-being, she insisted on staying close by and had been waiting there. My husband was visibly startled by her unexpected presence. These photos and videos are genuine. I took them myself, Kay affirmed firmly. You're the absolute worst. Our daughter has passed away, and you're cheating too. If you don't confess, I'll report it to our boss. Please don't do that. So, you admit to cheating then? Yeah, I guess, my husband admitted reluctantly, his face contorted with discomfort. All right, so we're getting divorced. Make sure you pay me alimony. Despite admitting to the affair, John still refused to pay alimony. If you're going to be this stubborn, I'll consult a lawyer. Do you, a housewife, even have the money to hire a lawyer? I've been working online all this time, saving up to support Sarah on my own in case we ever got divorced. I intended to use that money for her, but now I'll use it against you. Until now, John had looked down on me. Even when I confronted him with proof of his affair, he appeared unfazed. But suddenly, panic crept into his expression. Wait, hold on. This is some kind of joke, right? Huh? If you think this is a joke, try me. I won't settle for a half-hearted agreement, I stated coldly. At my firm words, John dropped to his knees, pleading desperately. I only started seeing Lee because she made advances towards me. It's not my fault, he began, offering excuses. I can't afford to pay alimony. Please reconsider. He bowed his head to the floor, tears streaming down his face. Yeah, and I'm sure those tears are just for show. Goodbye, I said, brushing off my husband as I grabbed the Boston bag I had packed and left home with Kay. Later, I hired a lawyer and successfully filed for divorce and damages. I managed to secure $25,000 in damages from Lee as well. John lost his family, his money, and was promptly dumped by Lee. Who said I'd only dated you because you had money? Lee retorted. I never expected things to end up like this, John lamented. And when our affair at the office was exposed, we were called in by the CEO, and as Kay told me, transferred to different rural areas. Following my divorce, I moved back to my parents' house and continued working from home. Sarah was laid to rest in our family cemetery back home. While I still mourned deeply, I resolved to live out my remaining years quietly and peacefully.